Good morning, I'm Dave Elkner. I'm New Jersey State Beekeeping President. I've been keeping bees for over 40 years. I'm located primarily in the southern part of the state, and I do small-scale pollination and honey production.
Hi, my name is Jeff Bird. I'm in Ewing Township, Mercer County. I've been keeping bees for 15 years. I primarily process and harvest honey. That's my main goal with the bees.
My name is Anna Trapani, and I own Trapper's Honey. I have bees from Somerset all the way down to Cape May. We do only Jersey fresh honey.
And I'm Assemblyman Sauickie. I represent Legislative District 12. Agriculture is a particularly important part of this district. I'm looking forward to hearing more about beekeeping, and more importantly, I'm looking forward to tasting some honey today.
And Alex, thank you for inviting us today. September is National Honey Month, so thank you for inviting us up here today to do some sampling.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time.
Anytime.
I really appreciate it.
So, beekeeping in the state of New Jersey is pretty much plateaued with a number. We don't have a drastic increase or decrease in colonies. Contrary to what the general public is hearing about bee decline nationwide, New Jersey is remaining pretty much the same across the state. There are 1,650 registered beekeepers in the state, with about 3,500 total beekeepers in the state at this time. I'm happy to be part of that, and I'm happy to have been elected as state president, trying to represent problems with the beekeeping industry to people like Alex to help us with agriculture and moving honey products throughout the New Jersey Fresh program.
Today we're going to be tasting some honey. We just have some different types of quality. We have regular honey, then we have some cream. This is creamed honey, honey spread, and then we have what Angelo and Anna Trapani do is they do a great job with their wax. This is more or less wax that came from the hive. This is still in a very rough, unprocessed form. And then what Anna and Angelo will do with Trapper's Honey is that they will mold these out into candles, and they're very, very popular with the public.
What I brought for you today is a sample. We do have our honey spread, which is the old-fashioned called creamed honey. We don't call it creamed honey because everybody asks us, how much cream do you put in there? And it's not. There's no cream in there. It's 100% honey. And it's just a process where we make it this temperature-wise, and it makes a nice spreadable, so you don't put it on your sandwich or pancakes. It doesn't spread, go all over. I also brought you some blueberry from down in Hamilton, which we did in the spring. And then otherwise, my lighter honey from the spring I'm out of, but I did bring you my fall extraction. And there are different flavors. We have some other beekeepers that have brought some other from around the state, so we're interested in tasting their honey. Different varietals, you will get a slight difference, and a lot of people, they don't like honey, but they've never tasted pure 100% honey. If they have, they will love it. So I highly recommend that you try to find a local beekeeper and you get pure honey, and you will love it.
All the honey on this table is raw honey, which means that it's not gone through a process. When you heat honey over 110 degrees, you kill all the enzymes and pollen inside, and then it becomes quite honestly what you see in your local supermarkets. This honey that's here is all raw honey, so what that means, it comes out of the hive, it's left sit for a couple of days so the air bubbles rise to the top of the sitting tank, and then it's skimmed off, and then it's put right into the jar. So again, make sure when you buy honey, you're buying it and supporting your local beekeeper, because raw honey is unprocessed honey, and that's important to remember. A lot of the honey in your food chains comes from overseas, where they don't take the time to process it. Like they take the time to process it, which kills a lot of the benefits of a raw honey.
The different colors, people will notice different colors of the honey. The color and the flavor is all based on the floral source of the nectar. For example, we have a darker honey here, whereas we have a lighter honey here and here. For example, the bees that go to buckwheat honey are going to produce a darker honey. Purple thistle produces a darker honey, as opposed to what Ann mentioned before, early in the season, black locust produces almost a clear water white type of a honey that's crystal clear. That's very popular as well. Most of the honey that I deal with is I call it either wildflower honey, clover honey, something more of a between dark honey, amber, and amber light. There are three of the main. I'm painting with a wide brush, but that's the three main types of honey that we have in New Jersey. There's always going to be a few exceptions, but the color is always different based on the floral source of the nectar.
And one other fact, it takes bees about 4 pounds of honey to make 1 pound of beeswax, but it takes 16 pounds of nectar to make 1 pound of honey on the average. So a candle mold like this is probably about a pound, so there's probably about 4 pounds of nectar in this candle right here alone. So imagine the work a honeybee has to do to produce the wax. It then goes into the candles that you can buy. It gives you some kind of concept of what the honeybees go through. And during the height of the summer, they'll typically only live 21 days. They wear their wings out, gathering the nectar, bringing in the propolis, rearing the young, guarding the colony. It's a very short lifespan. So again, it gives you some appreciation of when everyone says as busy as a bee. Now you get a true feel for what busy as a bee means.
There's also, if this pure raw honey, it'll crystallize quicker than what you would buy in the grocery store because of the heat. And also, this is very good. They're also doing some research now on burn victims in Princeton. They found it in the pyramids. It never goes bad. It will crystallize if it's pure honey. It has to be less than 18% moisture. We use a fructometer to make sure that it's correct, but the bees know and when to cap it. So if you do buy one of our honeys and you have it in your house because of the air conditioning and it does start to crystallize, that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just a process that it goes through. People throw it out. There's no reason to throw it out. It's still good.
Can I ask, how big an industry is it in New Jersey?
Are you wanting to count pollination or just honey production? I mean, pollination, you're into the billions of dollars. When you travel down to Hamilton, where Ann's from, where she has bees down there, they're the #1 blueberry producers in the nation. And at any given time during the blueberry bloom, I can take you past 4,000 to 5,000 colonies in about a half an hour. And then as you move further north, you get into the apples. Salem County has a lot of peach production. So as far as pollination goes, it's into the billions of dollars. Honey, because it's not as well documented, it might be harder to put a number on it because there's a lot of small scale beekeepers, 1, 2, 3 hives, and then they just give it away as Christmas presents, as housewarming gifts. So it's a little harder to track the overall value of honey in the state of New Jersey.
When they do the bee pollination for blueberries, on average, you can figure at least 3 colonies, full colonies of bees per acre. So you're talking for 100 acres, you're talking, some big bucks. And they bring them in from other states. They are inspected before they come here. They do the pollinating. There's a gamut. They come from Florida all the way up the East Coast. And even from here, when they hit here, they will either go to Maine or they will go to the west. And then a lot of them in the spring, they go to the west to do the pollinating for the almonds.
About how many businesses specific to honey are out there right now in New Jersey?
Just to sell honey?
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I'm considered a commercial because we do a lot of pollinating and we do get, a few tons. There's quite a few. He said there's 1,600 or
1,650
registered beekeepers. But that's a lot of backyard people. There's nothing wrong with having backyard, but for pollination commercials, there's not a lot of commercials. I do small quantities, like if you only wanted 20 hives to come in, the larger guys will bring the tractor and trailers loads. So if you wanted 20 or 50 for your fields, then I'll bring them in and I do them a serve. I fill in that little niche, that has to be filled.
In the southern part of the state, I'm personally aware of 5 or 6 beekeepers that run 5,000 plus colonies. So in the southern part of the state, all technically grouped right around Atlantic County, again, because it's a blueberry capital, there's a lot of smaller commercial beekeepers. The largest beekeeper commercial-wide in the nation is out of Pennsylvania, and he runs 60,000 colonies. They obviously have a lot of employees, but even the small-scale local people, 5,000 colonies and less, they average about 1 person for every 1,000 colonies to help them maintain the bees during the course of the year. A lot of people believe a beehive is set and forget, is what I say. They put it in their yard and there's no maintenance involved. It's just like any other agriculture product or livestock. If you tend it and work with it, it'll produce and stay healthy. if you just put it in your yard, it's gonna pass due to neglect.
Mhm.
So there's work involved with bees.
Would you like to taste some?
I would love to taste it.
That's fine.
Okay.
Where would you, okay, let's try. What would you like to try first?
The lighter ones are typically a sweeter flavor, the darker ones have a more pronounced
Do you
flavor.
want to start with the honey spread?
I would like that. yeah.
Okay, this is from my earlier springs, from the spring honey. This is like butter. You can, I'm a little fussy when I make this. It takes me,
Thank you.
give that a try and we'll see how you like it.
Yeah, this is the one that used to be called creamy.
Right, we don't call it cream anymore. And it was funny because in one day I had like 3 people ask me what kind of cream you put in there, and I tried to tell them there's no, so I call it honey spread. This
Honey
way
spread.
there's no problem.
And again, what's the difference between this and?
This is like
Yeah.
crystallized what normally happens, but I have a giant mixer that we mix it and makes it nice and smooth like butter. But I'm fussy, I'll do it for 3-4 days, mixing it a couple times a day. A lot of people just mix it and pour it in their jars and let it sit, and it's by temperature. If I put this out in a hot day in the car or on the thing, it'll go back to honey.
Creamed honey is when you control the size of the crystals. The honey that Ann was speaking of earlier, when it's in the supermarket, when it forms like a brick,
Yeah.
that's a regular shape, and they bond together like concrete. Creamed honey is when you control the size of the crystals, so you introduce a seed batch when they're round like a marble. So when you put it on your tongue, it has a real smooth feel. The smaller the marbles, the smoother it is to the tongue, the more valued it is. So,
I'm gonna stop asking so many questions.
no, we
No,
can
no, we
answer
want to
questions
ask
all
you.
day.
Coming between me and my honey.
There you go.
We'll give that one a try. I'm
Give
sure
that
you'll
one a
like
try.
that one.
Give that one a try.
Creamed honey is very popular in Europe. It's gaining popularity in the United States.
You know, if somebody mentioned that some people not liking honey, I just don't see how that's possible.
No, that's
I think
because
that is
they
really
buy either an imported honey or they buy adulterated honey that has been mixed with sugar water or some kind of syrup. That's why a lot of people go when they buy it in big quantities. That I only pay. You have to buy. Know your beekeeper. You know your butcher. Know your beekeeper. Right. So,
All right.
So what do you think of that
Oh,
one?
that's delicious.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do you like the texture of it?
Yeah, I do. I would describe it as like a grainy texture.
yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah.
But I like it, and it's certainly sweet.
You have to think of it like sand. When sand gets water around it,
Yeah.
that's what, so I agitate it to break down the crystals, because if I didn't, it would be like he said, it would be getting really hard. But this is kept, you can spread it and do whatever you
Well,
like with it.
to me, it's almost like a honey butter.
Yes.
You know, like
Mhm.
any other almond
Some
butter.
people, right,
Some people call it that,
that. Yeah, some
Yeah.
people call it, the honey butter.
Yeah, it's excellent.
In Europe, it's also called whipped honey.
Would you like to try it?
Sure.
Okay. Here, you can put it here. I'll get it.
Great. Thank you.
Here you go. Help yourself.
All right.
And here you go.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what other one would you like? Where she would
Try the
start?
dark.
Yeah.
Do you wanna go with the real dark?
Yeah.
Okay, I think this one, okay. Now, this is the buckwheat honey. This is from a little flower that is made. And this is going to be very thick.
Yeah, it looks like.
And a lot of people, you have buckwheat pancakes, but this is, you have to have if you have a taste for this, you will love it. Some people, a lot of people they say real honey, but they go by their eyes. They're so used to eating a light honey or dark honey, but they should try it all, because it's all different flavors.
And again, what makes it darker than?
It's just the buckwheat itself.
The buckwheat.
It's pure.
It's the
just-
nature of the
it's
nectar.
Right, it's the nectar source from the buckwheat flower. It's actually a little flower, a little white flower, but it's, and it grows, depending on how high you can get different sets of the buckwheat,
Mhm.
and then they harvest the buckwheat.
Well, just looking at it, it looks heavier.
Yes,
Like
it
looks
is.
like-
It's thicker, like
a-
molasses.
I was gonna say like a
Yes,
molasses
just
look
like
to it.
molasses,
Yeah.
yes.
All right. Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, now the creamier or the buttery one was much easier,
Yes, yeah.
where this one,
Now, you can take it and make that buckwheat honey a creamed honey also.
Right,
Is that right?
You
yeah.
can do that, absolutely.
Alright.
So you can make any flavor into a creamed honey. They say buckwheat honey is more of an acquired taste. It's a
Right.
stronger flavor.
Mhm.
Well, that's
Yeah.
really good.
You like the buckwheat?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
It's
that one.
good. I mean, if you like it, it's good. But like I said, like you said, it's a little stronger flavor. A lot of people don't like it, but if they try it, they might like it. So I suggest everybody should try
personally
it.
like that one a lot.
Yeah.
I
So
think
can we
That's-
sell you one?
Absolutely, many. Yeah,
That's
it's, I like the texture because it is thicker.
Mhm.
I think it has a bold
Yes,
flavor
it's
to it.
great on pancakes.
Yeah,
It would be great on pancakes.
yeah, this would be very good on
Yeah.
pancakes. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, almost in the syrup category.
Now, if you want to cook with honey, honey is heavier than water. So a cup of honey, instead of being 8 ounces, is actually 12 ounces. Because I make fudge, I make ice cream, you can do anything. But everybody cheats, they cut back and only put 8 ounces. I just put the full cup. It doesn't matter. But if you've got a really tight recipe where you have to weigh it if somebody wants to cook, honey is a little heavier
Yeah.
than water.
Does something like this take longer to ultimately get to the jar than some of the
No,
other
it's the
ones?
same process.
Same process.
Same process, yes.
Okay.
Same process.
Great.
Yeah. It comes out like these.
Like we said, it's just taken out of the hive through an extraction process, and the raw honey is just filtered through micron, 500 or 1,000 micron filter, just to catch any particles or any dirt to keep it pure, and it's put right into the jar. There's no heating, there's no additives to it, it's just straight from the bee to you.
That's great. All right, so this is considered a
That's
lighter
another-
one.
That's a lighter one. That's Bob's honey. That he is from Yardville, and it looks like a nice light source. So I'm not sure what it was, but it should have a different flavor than the other honeys.
If you call it wildflower, it's because you're taking all the flowers that bloom during the course of the year. You get everything from dandelions to black locust to cherry to apple, and it all gets mixed in there. When you start going specific like buckwheat, and you can see the difference, your bees are concentrating more on gathering it from the buckwheat field or from the clover field.
Okay.
So that's why wildflower sort of is all
Okay, so
encompassing.
it's really about where the bees
Right.
are pollinating.
Right.
So if a hive sits right here in your office, they'll fly 2 miles in any one direction looking for a nectar source.
Right.
So that's why you really can't say, unless you're really in a heavy zone of clover or buckwheat, you can't really declare what it is because they're gathering from everything. In some years, some trees bloom heavier
Yeah.
because of the weather, temperature, rain. Some years, a heavier winter knocks a lot of the buds off, and they're not as productive with flowers.
Going in.
Give that one a try.
Now, this is probably closer to the honey that I'm most used to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Again, texture is great. A little less thick, I think, than the buckwheat.
Yes.
The buckwheat is
No, that would be the thickest. The buckwheat is the thickest.
Again, the darker one I felt was more of almost like a syrup, like you
Yes.
described,
Mhm.
really good on pancakes. This is more like the honey that I'm used to.
Mhm.
You know, kind of grew up on. So I don't know if that's closer to the store or not, but certainly really good honey.
So what other
The
one?
general public has a perception of dark honey not being a good honey just because of what they see in supermarkets, where what you have is more of an amber colored honey,
Yeah.
a more common honey. People
Yeah.
accept it more readily.
It's definitely a nice color.
Mhm.
It's a nice look to it. Yeah, I find the difference fascinating about where the bees are pollinating.
Right.
You know, honestly never knew that. And is there, in this state, is there more of one versus the other?
No. I can bring them to your farm and you want to pollinate, you say your apples or your pumpkins. And over here on another farm that there's a better crop of nectar, they're going to go there. You can, even though they're here, they're going to fly.
Yeah.
Because they have scouts out all the time checking,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter. And they'll come back to you here if they have to. And the worker bees have schedules. Some are long distance bees, some are shorter distance bees, and they will tell the other bees. They'll come out and they do a bee dance, and they will tell the bees, "Oh, we don't want you over here. We want you to go over here." And they'll tell the hive where the best nectar source is.
Fascinating.
So yeah.
Great.
Here's another one. I'm not sure what this one is either. It's a little darker. There you go. Give that one a try.
You took a big scoop of that one.
That one's a little darker, so I'm not sure of. That one says roebling, so I'm not sure what they pollinated.
So like the other one you knew was buckwheat, right?
Yes, because it's the dark, thick, yeah, very thick,
And
that
if
one.
it's not buckwheat, what else would make this one darker?
It's just the pollinating source and of what they were working on. Because this time of year, like I said, my fall honey is a little darker than my spring. It's just what they're working and what area they're in. You know.
But beekeeping is just like any farming event. It's all up to nature. Good rain, good temperature, nice crop.
Okay, this is Jersey Fresh. This is from Jersey because this is my honey, and I guarantee it's from Jersey. Now, when we do it, you'll and see if you like that.
Well, we definitely like Jersey Fresh.
Yes. It's a grading program, Jersey Fresh. It's very good, and everybody, you know, if you want to sell a Jersey product, and now actually there's a law passed. If you want to call it Jersey Fresh or Jersey Local, you have to, you know, be registered. Oh, the blueberry.
This one has a
We
little
have-
bit different.
Where's the blueberry? Oh, it's-
What's up front? Oh, BB?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that one ranks up there for me. That's a really good one.
So what's your favorite so far? So far.
So far, which one did you like? He likes the buckwheat.
I'd probably say the buckwheat,
Okay.
only because I'm also like a spicy food person.
Mhm.
So I like a little bold flavor, and that definitely has some bold flavor to it.
Okay, this is from South Jersey. This is blueberry. Now it's not going to be like you're eating fresh blueberries. It's got a hint of blueberry in it. It's just a little bit different flavor. That's why when we do it, we keep it separate. You know, some people they put everything together, but some, you know, they keep it separate. You know.
Is that fairly common that other flavors could be infused in?
Yes, when we do the blueberry, sometimes we get a little cranberry mix in because the cranberry bogs are close by, or you know. But there's so many acres down there. This is more than 51% blueberries. So that's why it's so hard in New Jersey to label the honey. So that's why, like he was saying that it's mostly wildflower. Because of
Wildflower is
that.
all
It's
encompassing.
that, yeah, it
So I think
groups
that's-
everything
that's
together.
right, too.
That's really good.
That is good. That's why we keep it separate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very good seller. You know, and but that we can almost guarantee because there's acres and acres of blueberries,
Yeah.
and we know that's it might be a little bit, you know, like I said, something else, but the majority of that honey is blueberry.
That one was excellent too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great. Anything else?
No,
Oh, the wax, like he said, that we make with, and a lot of the beekeepers do. All churches and synagogues burn beeswax candles because there's no soot that comes out of it or smoke. And we use pure cotton wicks, so it's very good for your house. You have to be careful when you burn candles because some of the petroleum-based candles, but our candles, we make it, and a lot of beekeepers make it, is 100% beeswax.
Wow.
And you know, it keeps your house fresh with the air. So
Thank you for taking your time today
Yes,
to meet with the beekeepers, and happy September honey month.
yeah.
And we're very, very thankful for all your support with agriculture in general, but especially with beekeeping. Assemblyman, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
My
today.
pleasure, and
Absolutely.
thanks for
Thank
coming in.
Yeah.
Really,
Thank you
really
very
excited
much.
to work with
Yeah,
you guys.
thank you.
Absolutely, thank you again.
Thank you. And please remember to support your local beekeepers.